Alright guys, welcome back to another Marvel Snap video. So we have a bunch of cards leaked that we're going to go through in today's video. There are tons to go through, so to help you out on the timeline right now, you can jump over to whatever cards you want to, but we're going to talk about them a little bit in detail. But there is like 10 plus cards if you include the actual other token cards. There's like 15, 20 plus. There's quite a lot here. We're also going through the updated cards that got changed, like Eson. I know a lot of people were looking forward towards this card, especially with your free conversation we got last month. That card is not dead, but it's nowhere near the same power level, and like, yo, must pick up like how we thought it was going to be. And of course we have updated cards that didn't have previous text beforehand, that being Agamotto and also Khonshu, which is still kind of confusing a little bit. So let's talk about it. So the first card we're going to talk about is Agamotto. This guy should be the CD Pass. I think is the CD Pass card. And what you're going to do, game start, shuffle 4 Ancient Arcana into your deck, very much like a Thanos, so you will be used towards it. It is a 5/10, which I think is quite important, because if you go through the spells, it's quite, the word is quite strange, right? It says banish this, which does mean it, when you play the card, it completely removes, which is kind of good, because then one, you're not going to have a 0/2 on your board, but also still have room to play other things as well. But also means you can't like manipulate it, because like for example, playing like Misery on top of this and the other cards we're about to say in a second would be a little bit too broken. Plus it's not destroying, so you can't resurrect it with like Firehair coming out. We'll talk about in a second. So there's a lot of like balance reasons behind it, but it's also kind of cool because they are spells. So on reveal, inflict the enemy card here with -5 and move it towards the right. Some actual displacement, which is kind of cool, but also more or less just a 2/5. And once again, you don't keep the card in play, which is probably arguably a good thing. But yeah, do note you do have to draw these, right? It's very much like how we have Thanos, where like you're not guaranteed any of them. It's possible you may not even draw any of them, right? Because you're not going to draw all your cards. And for the looks of it, all the other spells don't actually draw more spells. So you're a lot more limited in like getting all the things ramping out quickly. But yeah, 2 power, 5 power, basically. Pretty good. Affliction's always going to be good as well. Of course, is countable by Luke Cage, but it's only a 2-cost card, so you're not too mad about it. Moving on towards the next one, we have Temporal Manipulation. On reveal, gives Agamotto +3 power, and you also put him in your hand if he's not in play. So basically, yeah, you draw him from your deck. You know, the wording could have been like, oh, if he was on the field, you could have like pulled him back in. But yeah, this is pretty cool. 1 power card is pretty nice, especially if you get it early on. Your Agamotto is then what, 5/13, and also as well, bear in mind you can combine these on reveals of like, you know, Walking Tourist. Probably not going to use this combo a little bit, but that would make your actual Strange or your Agamotto, you know, what, 5/16. That's pretty powerful. And I guess even better with the next card, because what this one does do is, on reveal, transform all your other cards here into copies of the highest power one. So hypothetically speaking, you did what I just said when you play like Taurus, got your actual Agamotto towards like 5/15 to 5/16. You play him out on turn 5, and on turn 6, you can just then, boom, transform all your cards that were in that actual place into towards an Agamotto with the all 5/15. Obviously pretty much an overkill, right? Because it's a 4-cost card. You have to try and win the other locations, right? But yeah, there's a lot of synergy here. Plus, once again, transforming, even if it's like a 2-3-cost card, repeating those on reveals would be like pretty huge. Like for example, I could see like playing Gwenpool on like turn 4 or something, and on turn 5, you then transform like Gwenpool plus like 2 other cards into other Gwenpools, and then you play this out. You would then have like what, 3 Gwenpools, activate the on reveal 3 times, and still have space to play things in that lane later on. And in the final one, which is crazy, 3/0, granted, power doesn't matter because it banishes itself, but on reveal, next turn, you get 4+ energy. So, like, just playing this on turn 3, and then, boom, getting 8 energy on turn 4, where you can play Agamotto and any of these other spells. Even play this one, too, if you have another actual 4-cost card. So, I think that's going to be the most powerful thing, right? Like, playing a bunch of random crap cards early on, just to get the on reveal. And then, like I said, you play this on 3, and then make those 1-cost cards into Gwenpools, because you can play this and Gwenpool together, or whatever 4-cost card that has a bunch of good on reveals. But yeah, honestly, you're gonna really enjoy this card. I wasn't really a big fan of Thanos too much, where this one actually looks a lot interesting. A lot of different things you can do around and play around with, which I'm looking forward to. And to be fair, by the time this card comes out, Thanos might even have a rework, who knows, or at least the stones, right? Moving on towards the next card, we have Dum Dum Dugan. This is more likely going to be a free card, I can imagine, because it doesn't look that good, and looks like a reskin of a card we're going to see in a few minutes now, but pretty simple, ongoing. Cards in front row here have +1 power. So I think the wording is something we're going to see later on as well, is the cards in front. So if you're the 3rd card on your lane, the card 1 and 2, you know, the cards above it, are going to have +1 power. and then the cards below it, so if it's the 4th card in your lane, this will buff up the first 3, but if you played early on, then the card below. So it's a 2-2, but you can't play early because, once again, you want to have cards on the field. This one, I don't know. I don't see this one being played too much. Next card, which I know people are going to be upset about because, I mean, to be fair, I almost made the video on it, but I didn't want to because I actually wanted to wait for the patch because I figured things would be changing. And yes, I was right here. Eson has now been changed. Previously, he was a legendary, like, text thing, which we hadn't seen before. And they, for the looks of it, are not even, like, messing around that anymore. But his old text did read, if, like, every single card in your deck had different power levels or power scale, then you will get +2 for every card in your deck, which was, like, insanely broken. It was easy must pick up, especially with the actual Spotlight week being with Wiccan. It was a no-brainer. Definitely still a must pick up for caches because it is one of the better caches coming out with recent times, but not going to be a must buy like how everyone thought it was going to be. But what it is now is after each turn, put a random card from your hand that didn't start in your deck here. Now, notably, it is a 6/9, which does mean you kind of actually want to use Arishem with this card, right? Which is kind of funny because before, at least for how we were theorizing the old card, you probably couldn't use Arishem together with the card anyway. But you want to use Arishem to get the energy cheat, or maybe even Agamotto if you get that, you know, +4 energy gain. And then you can, like, freely just play the spells itself. But you play this on basically turn 5. You are then going to summon down another card because it will proc on turn 5. And then on turn 6, you will then put another card down that didn't start in your deck. It's, I think, literally just an Arishem card, right? Like, there's no way around it. It's just that simple, which, it's probably going to be good. But, like, once again, a 6/9 that you're then going to summon down other cards is probably more likely, like, a win more lane. But even that, the cheap cards can be still pretty decent. You kind of just leave this guy in his own lane, assuming you played 1 card prior, and be happy about it. This is Fanfei. There's currently, like, no artwork of the card, so I just took artwork from, you know, Google. This is, I believe, the same season of, like, this card right here, where it's, like, the 1000 BC Avengers, I believe it is, and this is like the Iron Fist of that, like, you know, world, right? And it's actually a card I predicted for Penny Parker, but even better, activate. We don't know the power level yet, if it's like a 2, 3, 4, we actually don't know, but assumingly it will be probably 3 or 4, I'd say, because what it actually does do is activate, move your cards here away, which is what I actually planned for Penny Parker, where I said she'll, like, activate, move 2 cards away, where this is everyone. So honestly, there's actually some cool synergy you can do a little bit with, like, on turn 6, where you play a Cloak, you then drag this card in, drag your Human Torch, drag your Dagger, drag your Vulture, and since move always happens first, you can then activate, and then they will all get sent to another location. Of course, you're more likely to be thrown that location, but if they want to use, like, a Shang-Chi or a Shadow King, move them away would be pretty cool as well. Or you can also have, like, a Hercules on board, to where one of the cards will surely bounce in towards a Hercules lane, which then might bounce back towards this lane, giving a double proc of a move. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, not even that, like, final turn stuff, just, like, simply moving stuff in Madam Web, activating it. It's another move, right? Like, this is a pretty, if it's cheap, I wouldn't mind it with Frigga, because Frigga, Madam Web, and, like, Torch, and, like, Dagger, Vulture stuff are already pretty good. So being able to, like, move starting out with a Madam Web lane, activating it, get, like, a double move in one turn, and buffing up with a Frigga or copying with Frigga is actually pretty good. So I'm looking forward to this card, at least from me as a movement player. Next card, we have Firehair. So I believe the last wording of the card was, when this moves, and you can move it once per game, it will then resurrect a destroyed card. This is the Phoenix Force of that, once again, BC Avengers era, and it didn't seem that good, right? Which is kind of why they changed it. So what it is now is, when one of your cards is destroyed, this uses that card on reveal. Yeah, I think a pretty simple one. I think, if anything, more people might be using it in a destroy deck. For example, if you just play, like, normal stuff where you play a Carnage, for example, and then you, like, Venom a Carnage, then this is now a Venom. Then this card is now a Carnage. I guess there's a possibility that you can actually destroy a bigger cost card, and then you now have that bigger cost card ability on a cheaper one. I'm not too much into the destroy deck, so I don't know how crazy this card's going to be. Let's move on to the next one. Another card that's been changed, which is quite unfortunate, because, like, this card StarBrand, and also Eson were, like, the 2 big bad boys of the season, especially now that just came out right now, being what's his name, Thunderbolt Ross, who, if anything, you kind of wanted to pick him up with this guy, when now that's not the case. I mean, we'll see. So what he does do is, ongoing, your opponents have +3 power at each other location. He's basically a fantastic, but against you. So at that point, he's basically a free 4, right? because you are given +6 basically towards your enemy. However, once again, we've seen other cards like, you know, Red Skull and other things in the game. If they have a bad ongoing, then that's something you can remove with of course, a 0 or even just using Sauron, which, yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool, right? Like, they are going back and giving more love towards other archetypes, and the Sauron ongoing deck hasn't had anything in a very long time, and having a 3/10, and yeah, because I probably haven't said that, a 3/10 is pretty powerful if you can remove the ongoing ability. So yeah, probably still a good card, however, just not going to be in like the Surtur. Could still be the Surtur decks, but not as how we thought it was going to be. All right, we have the first Ghost Rider. Once again, this card last time got leaked, but didn't have the full text. We now have it on reveal. Discard the lowest power card in your hand. Remove that card's power from this. So you probably more likely want to like discard a Swarm, which would then be -3, so it's a 2/3, or you might want to discard a Scorn, which is then once again a -2, or you could even like do a, I mean, you probably don't want to because you might want to use that with Bullseye, for example, but like, you know, Dakin will be like a 1/5 basically at this point. But the 2/6, that's obviously very high. Maybe you can like use a Luke Cage, or I don't know if you want to in that deck, because I assume that would still be able to counter a little bit. Yeah, just another way to discard stuff into the lower power cost cards. I mean, even if it is a 2/3 or 2/4, whatever it may be, it's still pretty good and people might end up using it. Next, we have Captain Carter. Very much like how we had that Dum Dum Dugan guy. She is the opposite, but probably more likely a better card. So what she does is the opposite of how we said Dum Dum Dugan, where Dum Dum Dugan was like your ongoing cards in the front get +1, where she's different. Ongoing, your other cards in the back row, so things behind her, I believe. Or maybe it might be like if they're casting as rows, it could be possible with like the first 2 cards of the top row and the bottom 2 cards of the actual, you know, back row. So it's possible it's only going to be buffing up 2 cards here, but maybe it does buff up more. But what it is ongoing, your other cards here in the back row gain this card's power. So yeah, I think if anything, just cards behind it are going to give them +2. So if anything, cards behind it is going to give them +2, but you can scale that even more if you're able to use like a Galacta beforehand, for example, which would then give this towards what, a 4/5, and then your 2 cards behind will get some crazy buffs. If it is literally the 3 cards behind, then like having a Brood would be another good combo as well, especially if you do it within the next few turns of like having a Galacta. Although you have to like weave in like for turn 5 and 6, it can be quite hard to do that. But yeah, ongoing abilities, they've been sick recently. It's probably going to be a good card. Then we have Kahhori, if I pronounce that properly. 4/6, on reveal, for each card in your hand, give a friendly card +1. So kind of in the same lane as like Galacta and like Gwenpool, you're basically giving a card in your hand some plus power. Let's say you have 4 to 5 cards in your hand at this point when you're playing it, then you're going to give 1 card like +4 or 5 power. And it hits a pretty big card like, you know, Brood. It hits obviously your Mysterio, your Human Torch. Obviously, a lot more RNG because the more cards you have in hand, the less likely it is to hit like a more important card. But you want to have high cards in hand. Honestly, right now, first of all, I don't see too much synergy with this card. I think you'd rather use other cards like Galacta or even Gwenpool. But once again, it's on reveal. You can double that in some ways. And I'm sure there'll be some use of broken mechanic that this card's going to bring. So yeah, probably likely a decent card. Next one. The redoing cards, boys. We have Strange Supreme. Give this +2 whenever it merges. After each turn, merge with one of your cards here that didn't start into your deck. So the wording is very similar towards Petty Parker, to where if you have Agony, for example, Agony, and you play this into it, it would then merge and give it +2. With the Agony, it would then be 2/4. However, it's only cards that didn't start in your deck, which is, yeah, something. Honestly, I don't see it like this being too crazy. It probably will be. I don't actually know. Could you have to use it like a card generation deck, and I'm sure you're getting more space a little bit. It's a 2 power cost card. It's not bad. But it does make it accessible towards a Shang-Chi because over the 10 power threshold. And also it does give it a reason to Shadow King. You know, you tend to get to play more cards in one lane, especially if you are just playing cards that didn't start in your deck. But you know, getting Shadow King after merging all your cards and going down to 2/0. Yeah, crazy. I'm a little unfortunate it's not a move card because we're going to go up to some move cards next, and I'm a little annoyed it's such a random character. Hydra Stomper. This is a card I have been wanting for such a long time now, where I simply just want a card that gets +1 power for every card you move this game. And it's ongoing, right? So you can play at least at the final turn. But you probably don't want to because using Heimdall in a move deck recently, or just kind of in general, I've used him in the past. I've gotten him to like a gold variant. he's been okay, but like he's never been like a must include in move decks like how we have other cards in terms of 6 power that, you know, define some archetypes. Heimdall's been decent, but sometimes not the best play. And I've always said, you know, why don't we have a Mobius where they get +2 power for discarding? Why don't we have that for move, where if you get 1+ power or maybe 2+ power for each card you do move? And yeah, we've now gotten it. Very much looking forward towards this card. I'm just upset it's as big as Hydra Stomper. Who is this? Someone will probably say he's been in the MCU somehow. But yeah, I really wish it would have been like Strange. Like I would have preferred him to be that, you know, +2 power. Each time you move the card, it did like a special animation with like his little portals. Would be kind of cool. Next card, we have Goliath, which I think is meant to be like an Ant-Man type character. I don't know the comics, so you have to let me know in the comments down below. But ongoing, +1 card for each other ongoing you have in play. So very much like how we have the move cards getting buffed up by having a bunch of move stuff going on, you now have a 2/1 that is going to get even more power for having ongoings on field, which is crazy for like Sam Wilson, which is going to get a 1 card ongoing card that can't be destroyed, which is just played in for free. Sam Wilson's ongoing, I mean, you see it ongoing decks, right? They do tend to fill up at least 1 to 2 guarantee lanes that they then spectrum on the final turn. And this one's going to be another good addition towards it. This one's going to be crazy. And in the final 2 cards here, we'll go from other stuff in a second. But with Topaz, once again, I have no idea who he is. After you play a card here, move it towards the middle location. Kind of pretty cool, actually, which is nice that they're going back and going and giving good move cards towards free energy, because we don't really have that many. It's literally only Vulture. I think I would have preferred it to be either a right or left location, because there's a lot of times where you might want to, we have to wait to see how it plays actually, but for example, if you play this card into the middle, it wouldn't work, right? However, what if you Iron Fist a Human Torch from the middle towards the left? Technically, Human Torch is now on the left, but it didn't play in the left, so it won't move towards the middle. And if you do it, and if you have this card on the left or right, and you play it in the left, then Aranya, well, I guess, no, I think that might be the only way it works with Aranya, where if you play this card on the left, you play Human Torch while activating Aranya. I believe Aranya would, I think this will proc first, so it would move towards the middle, give a Human Torch, 4 power, and then giving the +1 of Aranya, going to 5, moving it to the far right, giving it +10. I mean, that's if you want like combo stuff. Just playing it raw is not too bad either, because you can't play Madder Web on turn 2, and then play Topaz on like turn 3 on like the left or right, and then play Human Torch. It then moves towards the middle. You can then move it with Madder Web next turn. Copy it Frigger. That's 2 cards you've been buffed up with. Not my most exciting move card, but one that I'm probably going to enjoy a little bit. Final card here, and we have to actually go towards the actual forms here, or at least the, you know, snap.fan to see it, but this one's going to be a big card. Probably more likely going to be a Season Pass card as well, and it's just another actually like Thanos-like card. Infinity Ultron. On reveal, add 2 Ultron Infinity Stones towards your hand. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the actual card arts, so I wasn't able to make a special, you know, character page like I saw the last ones, but we do have the abilities a little bit. So the first one is going to be the Ultron Space Stone, which is on reveal, move the lowest power enemy card here to card modify location. Probably more likely, let's say the middle. So you're going to move a card from like the left or right towards the middle. Once again, some free disruption. However, do remember though that this card is 5/6, which does mean you're playing the Infinity Stones on turn 6. So I like to think they'll be, oh, but we actually have the power, right? So how much was the other one? It's a 3/4. Okay, that actually might just be a... Oh, I don't know if that's going to be good, actually. I don't know. Next one is Ultron's Reality Stone. Add a card token. There are drones here. So add a drone and set its power towards maybe like Ultron. It'll be a 3/1 as well. Okay, I do like that they're actually incorporating the Ultron bots into the card, which is kind of cool. Next one is a 3/1 Time Stone. On reveal, put a card here from your hand. That's pretty good, actually. Not bad. Next one, ongoing, 3/2. Your on reveal abilities here happen twice. Wow, ongoing. But you have to play this first, and then that means you're playing a 3-cost on reveal, which, to be fair, you could double this actual token one, so you get like 2 drones, if that is what it is, like win that guarantee lane, if they do get pretty big. Oh, wow. On reveal, 3/2. Yo, hang on, this is crazy. Double Infinity Ultron's power. He's already a 6 power, so he'll then go towards a 5/6. And if you get the other card we just said, where it doubles the on reveal, because you can play 2 3-cost cards, he would then go to 12, then upwards to 24. And if you have like a 1 already in field, that could scale pretty high. That would be like stupid YouTube combos, but be pretty fun. And in the next one, the final one here, for on reveal, for each card full location you have, gain a friendly card +2 power. Or give a friendly card +2 out. I assume in play, right? I mean, if you have the bots to fill up a location, then that's not too bad, actually. So, this one, I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. I'm actually really looking forward to this one. I mean, my friend who doesn't even play the game anymore, like, started messaging me about this card. So, he's going to be almost a guaranteed pickup. So, guys, that is basically it. There's some other stuff too. Once again, we weren't able to cover this. Hulk has been a change. Now, this is the Hulk artwork for Rivals. I thought they would have just made Bruce Banner transform into this Hulk, and maybe that is the case now. They've updated it with the new patch notes or patch update we got. I really hope that is the case here. Khonshu is another card I didn't talk about because I generally have no idea what I'm looking at here, because there's like 4 different versions. He's now a 6/5, and when discarded, return it in the next phase. On reveal, resurrect a card discarded to your other location with its power set to 5. So I think when you discard it, it would then transform or return, and then transform into 7 power. And then when you discard it again, it would then transform again to 12 power. And then when you play this card, it would then give another location 12 plus power. So you want to discard this card 3 times. Which, to be fair, is actually kind of crazy. Yeah, Khonshu's kind of... Actually, this is huge. Yeah, I mean, if you get this to work, you discard it 3 times, you then resurrect a random card. It could be anything, just as long as you resurrect the card, right? And it's guaranteed towards another location. It's not hella RNG to where it could go towards his location and you could lose like a, 33% chance. And giving it 12 power? That's kind of crazy. And then in terms of cards that were being referenced here, that will probably come in the future, we have these ones all down here, which I don't know any of them. I don't think they've changed in terms of the ones that we've seen recently, but like, for example, Eson, the card's been changed, so this is arguably now a worse pickup in terms of actually buying the card, but now definitely pretty good to still pick up for, obviously, if you don't have, Wiccan. This would be one that I think most people will be opening for in terms of Spotlight caches. But yeah, moving into April, you have Goliath, which once again, to remind you, it's the ongoing plus for every ongoing in play. You're going to have Cersei and Gwenpool. Gwenpool's 6, she's finally returning, but also her best variant. So I'm really looking forward to that one, because this is what the card got leaked for the first time, one of like iconic covers. I'm definitely getting this variant. Like I'm literally only opening this actual Spotlight for this variant. April, Kahhori, Obsidian, and Hydra Bob. Bear in mind that we are getting a series drop very, very soon. So I won't be surprised, at least not Hydra Bob, but Obsidian drops down to a Series 4. So while they, yes, are 2 Series 5 cards, I think by the time we get to the Spotlight, it's going to be a worse Spotlight. So Infinity Ultron's actually the Season Pass card. I thought it actually might have been. So this one, guaranteed pick up. Most people are going to pick this card up. Cannonball, pretty good. I actually don't have Pixie, so I'm actually looking forward towards that one. I can finally get on, unless I get Ultron a little bit earlier. Strange is going to be with Speed and also US Agent. I think I might be missing both of them, so that'd be cool to pick them up. And then this one's insane as well, by the way. Madam Web, I think, returned for the first time alongside Aranya, which is... I mean, just for a move player, if you just didn't care about move, getting Hydra Stomper, a must-included move deck from now going on, basically. And also Aranya and Madam Web. Who are second in this change? What's happened? New variants, I believe, are no new bundles. Oh, wow, that's sick. I think some of these cards have been updated from the last time I looked. And this guy does say in July, we're going to have a Fantastic Four season. The title that references Zanla. Fantastic card. Oh, is that what it is? Right. Well, boys, a long video. There's a lot to cover. We do love patch days. So, hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, which is basically what it was, then, hey, hit the like button and, yeah, subscribe. Thank you for watching and, yeah.